Hello, hello, hello. Getting straight to this. This is a culmination of the gate tag program that I was speaking on in my live stream. Interesting facts. Participants in this program have high IQ, interest in extra phenomenon, intuitive, memory loss associated with the program, migraines, strong moral intensity and sense of justice, premonition, prophetic dreams, late teens, early 20s, heavy rug use, tendency toward being followed, abducted, tracked, or gang stalked. Interesting. Interesting to know also, the person that prepared this program and these reports that you're seeing screenshots of from 2001 was none other than the CIA's lead on Project Stargate that began, I believe, in 72. Check this out.
GT program, whatever you want to call it, that was conducted in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and maybe into the 2000s. We know that they were experimenting on us.
If you've never heard about it, GATE is an acronym for Gifted and Talented Education. These school programs usually serve the kindergarten to 12th grade, and former participants of these programs are nations. Well, it wasn't necessarily schools. It was found in a CIA report, and the editor of Advances in Parapsychological Research has CIA ties. But we also see institutional names behind these experiments as well. The CIA conducted MKUltra. They didn't just show, they utilized institutions such as Princeton, Harvard, and many others to front the research. And we do see some of the usual suspects. Various gifted and talented program. People across the internet seem to be remembering. Don't think this has been mentioned on this sub before. I recently came across some people on the internet, especially on Reddit and talented programs, that involved several exercises. The most commonly mentioned being wearing clanky 90s headphones and listening to audio clips, supposedly, such as an exercise matching shapes together or reading a book upside down. One common is their tendency to forget most of or all of what happened in the program until later in their adult lives. Kind of CIA experiment ran from the late 80s to the early 2000s. Has anyone here shared similar experiences or encountered similar stories? Drink a mysterious pink liquid.
And then the last thing I can remember from this is drinking out of a paper cup this pink, thick, chalky liquid. I think they told us it was a fluoride drink to make us think it was for our teeth or something. But now I'm currently crashing out.
They claim they don't remember what they
recently about being in the Gifted and Talented program when you were in school, and how a bunch of us don't really remember what happened in there. And now that I think about it, I don't either.
And the things that
I remember using Zener cards, which are used to train and test psychic abilities.
I tell my husband so much about my time in the Gifted and Talented program. So she would have us all lay flat on our backs and close our eyes. And then she would tell us to visualize 2 or 3 different things depending on the day. Sometimes it was visualizing our own bodies or spirits leaving our bodies and looking down at ourselves. And then she would teach us to look for spirit guides and to talk to them.
But what exactly?
And you're in the GATE program, that's Gifted and Talented Education program. I need to hear about your experience because I went down the rabbit hole last night after I did a story on liminal spaces and backrooms, and a bunch of people were commenting like, I wonder if this is related to the GATE program, which some people think was a government program ran by the CIA to find children with telepathic or psychic abilities.
Former participants of Gifted that psychic testing occurred in the classroom. This theory has been speculation. But what if I told you that I found the proof? The proof about secret experimentations in U.S. classrooms was hiding in CIA documents about psychic children from China. In 1978, China experienced a phenomena where children claimed to possess psychic and supernatural abilities. The CIA document is titled Human Paranormal Capabilities. It's a 94-page document from 1984 that was declassified on March 7, 2001. The documents mostly detail the observations about the psychic Chinese. It's a 94-page document from 1984 that was declassified on March 7th, 2001. The documents mostly detail the observations about the psychic Chinese children. But turn to page 75, and there it is. The document details an experimentation in a Florida elementary school, and it states that the results were, quote, startling. Students in this experiment displayed results that were 86% better than the odds of chance. In fact, they loved testing in the classroom. The document states that the classroom is, quote, an extremely good place for ESP experiments. Let's slow it down a little bit. What is through the physical senses? But rather things. The term extrasensory perception was coined by J.B. Rhine, a botanist from Duke University, to mark the presence of psychic abilities, such as intuition, telepathy, clairvoyance, and other forms of sensory perception. But I didn't stop there. We investigated where those documents came from and who wrote it, and ended up finding a trove of documents that go into detail about the covert operations conducted in schools all over the U.S. Since at least 1937 to possibly the present day, student psychic results have come from students with mental disabilities. Experimenters had access to student records, so they knew if you were creative, sucked at math, had behavioral issues, or moved to a different school. Coincidence that sodium amytal is one of the substances used in MKUltra experiments. And why did experimenters express that they prefer to work with gifted subjects? Some documents refer to them as talented. Records of children that parents knew nothing about. They had access to children's school records. There are entire chapters dedicated to all the secret ways they experimented in the classroom. Some ways appeared entirely academic, such as memory games, word association tests, drawing tests, rocket launching games, and a lot more. They also loved using Zener cards or ESP cards in the classrooms. Imagery trips that involved meditation tapes. Thousands of classrooms, thousands of students, every and any age, year by year, decade by decade. The amount of documentation is overwhelming. The volumes reveal highly disturbing things, like the fact that not only did teachers know about these experimentations, but they often participated, whether they believed in psychic phenomena or not. Documents that detail hypnosis, guided imagery trips, out-of-body experiences, and even erotic photos used in classroom ESP experiments. Substances were also used in classroom experiments. Substances like sodium amytal, a barbiturate, known to cause hypnotic effects, and it also causes memory loss. So was sodium amytal the secret ingredient in the pink liquid that former was to investigate the person who wrote the report? That wasn't too hard to find. Right at the top, we can see that it was written by an American author named L.E. Lyons. But there was one problem. L.E. Lyons doesn't exist. We quickly found out that L.E. Lyons was a pseudonym. In fact, this is the only publication we could find under that name. But right below that, it reads, Chapter 3, Advances in Parapsychology Research. We realized that the report we found was only a tiny glimpse of what is actually 10 entire volumes, called Advances in Parapsychological Research. The first volume was published in 1978, and the latest was published on February 23, 2021. The volumes were edited by Stanley Krippner, who was heavily involved in Project Stargate. Project Stargate was a CIA operation that investigated remote viewing and other psychic phenomena for the purpose of potential military and domestic intelligence applications. It had its beginnings in 1972, and it ran until 1995. Allegedly. Some believe it never really stopped.
Let me know in the comments if you were in Gate or Tag and what your memories are and what you feel about the fact that we were being tested for clairvoyance and ESP and telekinesis, and they were hiding it from us and our parents, and that the red liquid or tablets were stimulants and or depressants to see how we acted and reacted, and that we are left with permanent scars. When I saw this list, it broke me. It broke me as a human and as a person. And I know without a doubt that things were done that we can't remember and they weren't good. That's all I can feel.